No, you're not
population.
answering the question. I've spoken with a young black female student. No, you'll listen to me. No, you'll listen to me. Doctor, we do it my way. Nana, so you are a student at Cambridge.
Yes, I'm a black philosophy student at Cambridge.
Do you know Dr Cofnas?
Yes, I do know Dr. Cofnas, and we actually held a protest against his appointment here. And I think the main issue when it comes down to his research and what he says is the fact that as a university, they also have a duty of care to us students. And the issue is the proportion of black students is not a lot at Cambridge. And when instances like this happen, we tend to feel overlooked and very marginalised already, to be honest, as a group. And the issue is that once his certain research and views out there, it invited a lot of hateful comments and a lot of racist comments. So in our philosophy group chats, there were discussions about the type of racism in his argument, and I just think certain things should not be discussed intellectually, especially things that have no academic backing and background and so on, especially when we held a protest just to speak against his appointment and his views. Okay. A lot of his supporters were flooding the social media with racist comments, using slurs and so on, inciting violence.
Okay, so Nana, to the 4 academics at Oxford, 2 from Cambridge, 2 from King's College London, some from Harvard and elsewhere, who say this is part of academic thought and philosophical research that allow to think items such as these. What would you say to them, Nana?
I think, as a student, I think academic freedom is very important, and I think freedom of speech is very important as well. You should be able to express your arguments in an intelligible way, but the issue is what his arguments consist of, and I don't think that there's any academic backing to his arguments. So the student body, we were very surprised in the first place how he was able to get his scholarship and his appointment, because as you go into his arguments, as you read certain things he says, he argues that these inherent genetic differences, he doesn't take into account a lot of environmental factors or historical factors and so on. So I think that, yes, academic freedom is important, but you need to look at the arguments and how they're making these arguments. And I think that his arguments are very flawed.
Have you ever been able to discuss this in person with Dr Cofnas?
No, we were not able to discuss it in person, but the faculty did hold an open meeting for students to come and discuss their problems with anything said, and the Pro-Vice Chancellor attended also.
Do you think this man should lose his job?
Yes, I do think he should lose his teaching positions, which has already been stripped off of him, but I think it's inappropriate to give him positions.
Probably making this man unemployable for the rest of his career.
I think when you have arguments like that and you're supposed to be working with students from different backgrounds and you have biases that will make you act in different ways towards them, I think it is problematic for you to be working in that particular field.
And it's a duty of care, lastly, because, do you mind my asking, it causes you personal physical distress?
Yeah, I think being a black student at Cambridge is already very difficult at times. Right. You can feel quite othered and marginalised. And I think that when you have a professor in your department that says these sort of views and you have people coming to you debating about things, I think it can create not a nice feeling when you're supposed to be happy in your academic setting and able to enjoy what you're doing and learning.
What are you studying again, Nana? Do you mind my asking?
I study philosophy.
You do? And what do you know what you're going to do with your life yet as a career?
Well, yeah, I want to go into education management and open schools in Ghana and so on. So I I want to lecture as well and do my master's in education.
Thanks for all the background. Good luck with your studies, Nana, and so relevant as you're right there at the heart of the story. What made you start this research in the first place? Good morning.
Right, good morning. So my background is in the philosophy of science, particularly biology, philosophy of biology and ethics. So I'm interested in the relevance of evolutionary theory to various problems in across areas of science and philosophy. And as part of this research, I study human evolution and population differences among humans, including in traits such as intelligence.
How do you determine the level of intelligence down to someone's skin color?
Well, intelligence and skin color per se are not related. So there are population differences in the means and distributions of scores on intelligence tests.
So you're really saying your research prompts you to believe that in a meritocratic world, black people would only excel in sport and entertainment?
Well, that was not my quote, and in fact, that's a false, obviously a false claim.
Well, I have the blog here. I'm in a meritocracy. Harvard, referring to Harvard, the university, will be recruited from the best of the best students, which means the number of black professors would approach 0%. Blacks would disappear from all high-profile positions outside of sports and entertainment. Doctor, I can read on. I've got it in front of me.
Right. Okay, so I think you left out an almost there.
Blacks would disappear from almost all high-profile positions outside of sports and entertainment.
But note the preceding.
But how can you say that?
Preceding sentences. Under a colorblind system that judged applicants only by academic qualifications, blacks would make up 0.7%.
But I ask again, how can you say that?
Right, because I'm quoting Harvard. Harvard conducted an internal study in 2013, which I linked to, as you can see.
What do you hope to achieve by this, Doctor?
Well, I'm sorry, you brought up the question of how I could say that.
Okay.
So let's finish that.
Briefly.
So I'm saying that because Harvard said that.
Okay. Why?
Harvard has been sued successfully, found guilty of discriminating against Asian applicants. As part of that lawsuit, their discriminatory practices were revealed.
What?
Their practices of awarding extra points to members of certain groups.
Okay.
They said that if admissions were based only on academic qualifications, blacks should be 0.7% of Harvard students as opposed to the current approximately 14%.
What would you say to black students at the University of Cambridge who've expressed their distress over this?
Well, I should comment that statistical generalizations about different populations don't apply to all other populations.
No, I wonder if I can bring you back to the question that I asked, Doctor, is what would you say, and I've heard from one already on the show, to black students at Cambridge who are distressed by this?
Right, so I'm answering the question.
Well, I'll deem if you are, actually, Doctor, so let's go ahead. What would you say to those students? Well,
you're responsible for the questions. I'm responsible for the answers. Yep. You asked me what I would say.
Here we go.
This is what I would say. So statistical generalizations don't necessarily apply across in different countries and different societies. No,
you're not answering the question. I've spoken with a young black female student. No, you'll listen to me. No, you'll listen to me. Doctor, we do it my way, okay? We're going to do it my way because you're on my show. Doctor, I have heard from a young female black student who has expressed her distress because of this. And she says it's already difficult enough to be a black student at the University of Cambridge, and this only makes her life and those of her friends who are also black tougher. So I wonder if we could get down to the meat of your answer to that. What would you say directly to that young woman?
Okay, well, as I was saying,
no,
I'll skip.
Please don't take me on a tour of academe. Just what would you say to that young woman?
So are you... well, I told you what I say, and you interrupted me. But I'll say that if your position is we're not allowed to talk about Harvard's own statistics about their admission, we're not allowed to talk about Harvard's admissions policy because somebody could pluck that statement.
Your
out of
position
context.
Is, Doctor, you can knowingly cause offence and distress because of the position you enjoy and the research you can point to. You can knowingly cause distress.
Knowingly cause distress?
Yes.
I mean, people are distressed if you talk about the role of testosterone in sex.
No, I'm not talking about the role. I don't know why you keep seeking to take me down another path. You're knowingly causing distress with black students on the University of Cambridge, and I'm saying that you feel that that's okay to do that.
What do you mean I'm saying? I never said anything like that.
Well, you've been trying to justify why this is done. I've asked you 3 times what you'd say to that young woman.
So
you've declined to say that.
Why are you asking me why it's justified to talk about Harvard's admissions policies, quoting Harvard's admissions statistics?
Because of the impact that it has.
That's a very strange question.
Okay. Well, I don't have to answer why I question the questions I asked to you, thank you. I do that because I'm representing the listeners who've all called in to me. Why do you suppose there's such a level of opposition to your appointment at Cambridge in the first place?
Well, there was opposition last year. There was a petition to have me fired based on a peer-reviewed paper.
I'm reading online. You found it difficult to get a post in the United States as well. If that's true, why do you suppose there's such global opposition to you, Doctor?
I mean, there's a certain orthodoxy and political sensitivities that prevail, and so people who question orthodoxy at all times.
So it never dawns on you that you might possibly be in the wrong, in that you can't get a post in the United States, and when you come to Cambridge, students protest against you. That's all their fault, not yours, Doctor. All right, let's boil it down to a simple one.
Carefully.
Okay, should well-educated folk like yourself, which undoubtedly you will be, do you have greater rights than others to exercise freedom of speech?
Well, that's a question of law. I mean, there are certainly principles of, say, journalists that apply to journalists or academics to explore.
No, but I'm asking about you, Doctor. No, my journalist.
That's a question. I can't comment on English law. I'm not a lawyer.
All right, okay. Thank you for your time. Dr. Nathan Cofnas is a Leverhulme Early Career Fellow in the Faculty of Philosophy at the University of Cambridge. He's the one who is facing possible expulsion. Just to say what one of the only black heads of an Oxbridge college has said, he's an abhorrent racist, this is abhorrent racism, masquerading as pseudo-intellect.